He is linked to the Vatican establishment which founded the Bilderbergers, and he is linked also to the fact that he was a CIA operative together with Hillary Clinton in a way to infiltrate the left since their times in England, and they became enslaved by George Bush Senior, who is their commander-in-chief, their Grand Master in any way. So we will not really see a big change in the U.S. Thanks to Hillary Clinton, and this is what the Illuminati want. They want stability in their plan. The Rothschilds are behind the New World Order as other families, and they want Hillary to be the next puppet to be on stage.
So in other words, she's going to play the role of good cop, while George Bush Jr. is currently playing the role of bad cop. Is that correct?
Yeah, it's a bit of Hollywood theatrics,
Yeah,
it's
exactly.
what usually works for the American public,
Yeah, they like a show here in America.
They definitely like a show here there in America, and I think that here in Europe nowadays we are becoming very similar to the way things are going in the U.S. We have, though, in places like Italy, complete control of the Vatican in every sense, but the same is in the U.S., But that's because Italy and the U.S. are very closely linked in their plans, because Italy is where the Vatican is residing, and in a way they have also the tradition of the Illuminati that comes from these strong aristocratic bloodlines that are linked to the papacy. And
Yes.
this happens all over Europe. But obviously in Italy and Austria we have certain family lines that are specifically powerful within the knighthood orders, like the Knights of Malta and other knighthoods of similar importance.
You've mentioned the Knights of Malta several times during this interview. What is it about that group that makes them so important and so higher above these other knight groups?
First of all, when you are in the lower degrees of Freemasonry, you don't really know the history of Freemasonry, but when you go in the higher degrees of Freemasonry, you discover that Freemasonry is itself a creation of the knighthood orders. The knighthood orders means links with the Vatican, but also with the aristocratic families that have been in charge of these knighthood orders. So we can say that the knighthood orders through these aristocratic bloodlines also have control over Freemasonry. And this happens in England, but it happens also in Italy, and it happens everywhere else in the world. There is a whole pyramid structure of power that we have also in Japan and in China. When you were talking before about Benjamin Fulford, we didn't really go into the detail about the role also of these Asian secret societies that are profoundly instead linked with the Illuminati, the Western Illuminati. We have to understand that the Jesuits have a very old tradition of visiting China and Japan and establishing their own bases there. At the same time, we have a very strong tradition and influence of Freemasonry in Japan linked to the imperial family, which is itself linked to the Opus Dei and to the Vatican. The same also in China, but in a different way. We have the link through the Chinese secret societies and the European secret societies in places like Hong Kong, where Freemasonry of both sides helps people with different traditions meet up, and so the triads themselves become hungs, become lodges of Freemasonry, and they are part of the New World Order structure. So there is no real contraposition of the Eastern Illuminati or the Eastern secret societies against the West. this is completely false.
So all this competition, one group trying to fight off against another group, that's all staged and phony, correct?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And as I said, I tested Benjamin Fulford. I've been in contact with him, and from his emails to me, he demonstrated that he was not fighting the Vatican Illuminati. He himself has been brought up in a Jesuit university.
Oh, that's interesting. Could you talk a little bit about your own credentials as a Freemason, a member of the OTO, and as a Rosicrucian?
Yes, I was 33, 90, and 95 of the Memphis and Mizraim. I was a Grand Inspector General 33. I was Sovereign Grand Maître Absolute de l'Ordre Egyptian de Mizraim 90 and Grand Conservator de Memphis 95. I received and been elevated and consecrated to these sublime and high degrees in Oslo in 2002, but also I received from the OTO the 8th degree of the order, and I also was linked to the Coronzon Club, though I was not practicing in the Coronzon Club, but you have also people who support the Coronzon Club for magical needs, which are connected with black magic.
I see.
And because they function as doors of the abyss. And then in the Rosicrucian tradition, I was Director de Aula, which is the fourth and the higher degree of the Fraternitas Rosicruciana Antigua, of the Aula which is Cagliostro. The Fraternitas Rosicruciana Antigua is a very old Gnostic tradition, the Kumheller Gnostic tradition, and it's connected also to Aleister Crowley, who met personally Kumheller. Kumheller was a very high-level member of the Illuminati, and he established this Rosicrucian order, this fraternitas, with the original links with the Rosicrucian order in Germany that he had. And I was also a member of the Monte Carlo Lodge, in which we had 38 degrees. Practicing these 38 degrees, which were created. There were basically a number of extra degrees of 5, to be precise, extra degrees on top of the ordinary structure of the 33 degrees, and there was this system which was given only there, which was a system to produce the elite of the Illuminati. So I was involved in actually working on the rituals and working on the practices and on the names of the certain degrees, because the structure was created by Ezio Giunchiglia in the last few years, on top of the existing Scottish Rite structure. You know, some extra degrees to make the system more close to the Illuminati. Some extra Illuminati degrees, let's say, that were only, given in the Monte Carlo Lodge, and actually were only given to people who could serve the interests of the Vatican in some way.
It sounds like that must have kept you pretty busy, huh?
Well, yes, I was working very much as part of this network, and also in America we had contact with the OSIA, the Order of the Sons of Italo Americans, which is part of the whole P2 Gladio Control network. The Order of the Sons of Italy in America is a very powerful order, I tell you, and it was working under the direction of Comandante Giorgio Balestrieri, who was himself a member of the P2 Gladio Ordo Illuminatorum Universalis. Ordo Illuminatorum Universalis was the Illuminati of the universe. That's how they like to be called.